Hi, and welcome to another edition of Further Wes Bound, our continuance of our documentary Westbound on the life of jazz guitar genius Wes Montgomery. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about one of his brothers and life at home with a professional musician. The two topics kind of intertwined because Robert Montgomery, in this case, is talking with his own first cousin, Steve Montgomery, who is the son of the late Monk Montgomery. That's the name people know in the jazz world. Monk Montgomery, the great bassist who toured with Lionel Hampton's band after his brother Wes had toured with Lionel Hampton. And while with Lionel Hampton, became the first recognized jazz bass player to pick up a Fender jazz bass guitar, play it, tour with it, record with it, all that stuff. That was Monk Montgomery. His real name was William, or as Robert always remembered him, Uncle Bill. So Steve and Robert are going to talk about some things that about Monk, Uncle Bill, and they're also going to talk about what life was like at home, because both of them had the same experience of living with a professional musician. So I hope you enjoy this one on Further Wes Bound.
My father, like yours, was always on the road or always somewhere. And then when he came home, it was almost like they were on just
That's
on
right.
vacation. They were
That's right.
visiting, you know.
They sure were.
And I remember how strong his hand was from out of town. You know, like I was getting in my teenage years and stuff at one point, and my mom, he could control the house from New York.
Right, with
Do you,
just a word.
do you want me to call Bill? No, no, no. What you need done? Grass, you know. But people always looked at I know from my father, and I know for your father and everybody else as your father, the musician, your father, this great guitarist, or my father, this great bass player, Uncle Buddy playing the keyboards. But to me, and he was just my father,
Yeah.
and that was the part that people don't understand.
Right.
I went to a function. I hadn't seen this lady, and she lived next door to us. Her name was Ruby. She was a teacher, and during that time, I was probably 10 or so, and I was having problems with these decimal points. Well, how do you know where to put them? So my mom sent me next door for Ruby to help me, and so I met her. I saw her again. I was a grown man. She didn't recognize me, and I said, "Ruby," and she said, "Stevie." Stevie, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
that's what
I said,
we.
well, I had to really tell her. I said, I was a little boy next door that you showed how to do decimal points, and then she told me this story that I didn't know. She said, I remember when your uncle used to come in that big Cadillac, and we'd all be peeking out the door. I said, I never knew that, but
Yeah.
because he was just my uncle coming to the house,
Right. Right.
and I remember one thing that he wanted when he came was Golden Bird Chicken. It was a small franchise, but they had the best chicken in
Man,
California.
love that chicken. He love that chicken, man.
Yeah, so we always had good times, and we always look forward, to him coming because we know
Right.
it was going to be fun,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's funny because it is that way. We don't see them the way everybody
No.
else seen them. Did you now listen to this? So I didn't even I wasn't a fan of Daddy's music wise.
I was
See, right?
because I was older.
Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't become a fan till I was like maybe 18 or 19 when I became a fan because I was listening to man, Pat Metheny, like one of my favorites.
Oh, okay.
George Benson. I'm saying George Benson. I can hear Daddy and Mama saying, "Boy, I know you didn't just call him George." I can hear them now saying that, and with addressing Mr. Benson. But he was. I started listening to him when I was 12, because that when This Masquerade came out, I was 12,
Okay.
and
Well, it was really nice. It was a good song. I liked it too.
Some.
Breezing. So I was a fan of them. So I wasn't a fan of Daddy's. And your dad, they, was Monk. The world says Uncle Bill.
You know what we called him?
But
Bean.
Joe did.
Yeah, we called him Bean.
I'm sorry.
It came up in we used to play Data
did.
Bella. We sit there and play.
Yeah.
That was a game that came from Indiana, I think. It's called Data Bella.
Dad.
And we started calling him Bean, and it stuck forever. I mean, I call him Bean now. If I refer to him, I'm calling him Bean.
Called him Bean.
Yeah, he actually started a little label. It was called Bean Label. Uncle Buddy was on it.
Yeah.
I had a thought. I lost it.
Remember how he used to roll his own cigarettes?
Oh man, yeah, he would send. You know what? He couldn't see paying when the cigarettes went up. He couldn't see paying extra for some cigarettes.
And they wasn't that much money.
Yeah, he started smoking a Bull Durham, and we could get those OB papers or something
Yeah,
with
yeah.
notes. And
Used
he
to count,
yeah,
too.
oh yeah, he'd roll it with one hand. I'm like, huh? He said a lot of times the musicians they'd be standing on the corner and they'd be like, "Say, Monk, what you doing? You see the police right there?" You know?
Right. He rolled. I ain't doing that. I rolled
Yeah,
cigarettes.
cigarettes, yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing I remember was I don't know what year it was, but I was probably somewhere between 10 and 12 maybe.
Okay.
And we went to either Oakland or San Francisco. It was a big concert there with Al Green, Thelonious Monk, your dad. I think Uncle Buddy and my father were backing him on that one.
Yeah.
And I was so curious about Thelonious Monk because it was summertime. Al Green had on hot pants and some kind of little shirt, and he's passing out roses to the girls. Thelonious Monk got a big old coat on and a heater under the piano. And I'm
What's
like,
going on with
yeah.
you?
And my father just said, come on.
Yeah.
And my mom used to tell me about how they used to play in Indianapolis. And my mom said she would have to sneak Quincy Jones in, and he would want to play all night. And I think their relationship went back to, who was it they were playing with?
Pookie?
Lionel Hampton. They were. I don't know who played with him first, my father or.
I think your dad played with him
Yeah, and I
first.
think that's where he met Quincy Jones because he had a pretty good relationship with him.
And Daddy got criticized because of the music he was playing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, everybody's a critic. You know, everybody's going to be a critic,
About something.
especially if you're making money. You know, it's why not criticize the man that's not doing anything instead of the man that is?
Right.
I mean, I remember I was a lowrider. I was probably 16.
Yeah.
And on KGFJ, which was not a jazz station, it was a soul station. They had a company called. They did put speakers and stuff in your car, and it would come on with do 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 do. That's Uncle Wes on KGFJ. You know, I can't remember the name of the it was a small business, but they had it bumping on there. It was rolling, and I was like, wow. And this was, you know, years after he had passed. But you know that the music's there forever.
Yeah, he hit all genres, didn't he?
And if you just look at the history with the amount of education that they all had,
Yeah.
my father I think had a 6th grade education.
Right.
But he was able to negotiate. One thing Uncle Buddy told me, I didn't get it from your dad, but I heard it from Uncle Buddy was, Monk could find work when there wasn't any work. He could just talk to somebody, and next thing you know, we were working. In the car we got and drove to New York or whatever, you know. So it was good times. It was really. I think just to protect myself, I kind of pushed it out of the way.
Yeah.
But he also always told me, never forget you're Montgomery.
Wow.
Told me that, the little boy.
Wow.
And he also said, because he'd give me a bass, excuse me, he'd give me a bass, and I was trying to play some Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze or something, you know, and boy, that ain't music. And then he told me, I kept trying and trying.
Right.
You just ain't got no rhythm. I mean, just cutting dry like. And I don't know if he was joking or what, but I took it serious. I said, well, he should know I'm done.
Right.
And
right.
but yeah, man, he and Uncle Buddy and your dad, they could always find a way to meet the right people, to get the right connections, to stay relevant.
Yeah.
You know, when people were probably not working, I would think, but they knew everybody in the business.
Yeah.
You know, they a lot of the musicians that I see that they worked with come from Indiana. Come from Indiana. You know, they used the homegrown people that they knew. And
You know, Daddy had started, I think it's called Wes Montgomery LLC, or West Productions LLC, and your dad was president, Uncle Buddy was vice president in it.
that's how close they were. That's how close they were.
And it actually started in New York. They had meetings and everything. John Levy was the
I remember his name. Wasn't he a manager or something?
Yeah, he was their road manager.
Road manager.
so I'm thinking about. I know it was Uncle Bill always playing music around the house. I mean, did he practicing? Because they.
Well, he wouldn't. Typically he wouldn't start practicing until we went to bed.
Okay.
So when we went to bed, we would hear him playing. You get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, he's still playing.
Yeah.
You get up to go to school, and he's just putting it up.
Yeah, they were all like that.
Yeah, and I guess that way he could focus or something without the kids in the way. But yeah, he practiced all the time.
So my thought on this has always been, there may be some mythology out there that once you reach a certain level of success, you don't really need to practice anymore. I got this. I'm playing gigs all the time. I really don't need to practice. But the serious musician is always continuing to practice. And you've certainly heard how much Monk did into the wee hours when he could be left alone to just think and focus on his instrument. And the same was clearly true with Wes and with their other brother, Buddy, who we'll talk about in a future episode. If you like this one and you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, and they don't even ask for any personal information. So until next time, continue to enjoy things further westbound.